Greetings, live videoers and YouTubers. It's me, Wayman29, and I just come on a little bit to talk about the term theophany. A lot of times, in the construction of a religion, uh, this appears. Basically, theophany is the appearance of a deity or a god to a follower or a believer. And a lot of times, this was used to give the writer credibility in certain texts. Mainly, the biggest one would be the most common one would be the Apostle Paul, who never really seen Jesus firsthand. Had the vision on the side of the road. Y'all know that story. However, what's interesting is these sorts of techniques were used also in the ancient Near Eastern religion. And for the most part, all religions, you find this. And not only in the New Testament. The Old Testament, all your biblical heroes had an appearance for credibility by the deity. Jacob was allowed to wrestle with Yahweh. Abraham got to converse with Yahweh on the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And a lot of times, even in Native American mythology or religion, you have texts like Black Elk Speaks, where he talks about his vision and his mission for his nation on how they were going to deal with the assimilation process that was happening in the United States. And a lot of times, theophany happens when people were oppressed, or if they were about ready to take on some task or go to war. You have the Hindu Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna appears to Arjuna. So that text is gained as theophany. However, it can be used as a tool in a negative way. A lot of times, cult leaders will make the claim of theophany to attract believers and credibility. And what's interesting is a lot of times they're believed in. They end up duping hundreds of people. So it's best to look at when the claims are made. It's kind of interesting to see how those patterns of ancient times are used today as tools and to gain credibility. On the topic of, I touched on it before in other videos, gods taking over gods, or passing gods, younger gods overtaking older gods, like Baal overtaking the older god El, like Zeus overtaking his father, I believe his name was Cronus. Not sure if I pronounced that right, but maybe somebody out there knows. And you have the same example happening in the New Testament with Jesus surpassing Yahweh as the new God. It's basically the same transition through time that happens there. And at that point, when it happened, the theophany happened in the Transfiguration account or story, where he appears with Moses and Elijah. So there it gives the credibility that Jesus is somewhat like these people, and it sets the mindset for the text on what to expect from the idea of Jesus and what the writers claim that he was. And some of the most common modern day theophany was the appearance of Christ to, or the angel to Joseph Smith. So some of those were actually religions started due to such sightings, and they're written about. A lot of times, you get books like Embracing the Light and blah blah blah. However, these people may have legitimate experiences. However, some people like to capitalize on it. A lot of your Old Testament biblical heroes, I know I touched on a few, but one of the heroes who could be likened to Achilles, who also had, he was part God, is Samson, where you have, part God, part man, superhero with the long hair, slicing and dicing Philistines, and a lot of times these types of heroes who had relations with their gods or part gods were pretty common in the ancient Near East also. So you have where Aquat, the story from the Ugaritic text, he doesn't have a wife or a family. He's all worried about it, and then El appears and tells him to go lay siege to the city. And there's a woman there who's married to the king of that city, who he was supposed to lay siege and take the wife. And it's interesting to note that a lot of comparisons to the Iliad can be seen there from the Greeks, and that translates into the story of Abraham, and denying that Sarah was his wife, and said that told the Egyptian king that he was a brother to her. That kind of has references to. So that's just something I threw in there. A little bit of line there, and there was a pretty good article that drew that distinction. One of the books I was reading. I'll have to get it later. But I just thought that was interesting. And thinking about Theophany today, if you were to create something like that, it's still done, and it does give somewhat some kind of perceived legitimacy to the text or what you say. And what is also interesting is the idea of ministers on the evangelical Christian side being called to the ministry. A lot of times, some of those stories deal with or have aspects of theophany inside that. Usually, before that happens, though, you have a huge kind of like catharsis of which leads up to a theophany. Like even in Native American religions, you would go through certain rites, like you go on a vision quest, go to a sweat lodge, go to a vision quest, and be out there until your theophany happened to give you your purpose in life. I just thought that all those transitions were pretty interesting, and I'm not too sure where all that goes, but just something to think about. Okay, take care.